Welcome to the Inspire to Invest podcast, where we're sharing inspiring stories from business owners, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors on the pursuit of wealth and financial freedom. This episode of the Inspire to Invest podcast has been brought to you by the Wealth Club. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Inspire to Invest. I've got Debbie Balfour joining me from Vancouver, BC today. She's a professional real estate investor, as well as a real estate investing success coach with 4 years of professional real estate investing experience in both Alberta as well as British Columbia. She has employed strategies ranging from joint ventures and BRRRRs to rental strategies for long, mid, and short-term rentals, private lending, as well as private equity. She's the host of Let's Talk Real Estate Investing podcast. She's the creator of a transformative 5-week online course and creator of the REI Business Transformation Academy program. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us today. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Serena, for having me.
So obviously we were talking a little bit offline before I hit record, and we were talking about how you got started in real estate a little bit later in life. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to touch on. Maybe you can talk about how that came into your life and why you kind of moved full force with it at this stage.
Definitely. So I didn't start real estate investing until I was 50 years old. And it was always something that was in the back of my mind, even when I was young. So even like in my early 20s, when my parents were moving from our family home, they were buying a new home. I was like, oh, I should buy this over from my parents and have roommates. But back then you didn't have readily information at your fingertips. There was no Google, there was no YouTube, there was none of this. So I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't sure. I'm like, I probably can't get a mortgage. So I made excuses basically. And, it was too difficult, didn't think. So, moved on. And then 2008, when the market crashed, and especially in the US, and my mom was living there too, same thing. It was like, ooh, like, there were townhomes in her complex going for like 58,000 US. And I was like, oh, but I probably can't get a mortgage in the US and all this kind of stuff. When I had money on my line of credit, I could have bought like 4 and hadn't made much of a dent in my line of credit. That. So, so that sort of stuff. But then I think it was 2019, late 2019, I decided to, I went with my son to I don't know, wealth tour or whatever they call it. We're speaking about real estate investing, and he wanted to go on to take the workshop. I said, I'll go with him to do this. And then I left there going, okay, I'm going all in with this. I'm going to go forward. And I was 50. So
what was your first step then? Because obviously in your bio, we kind of talk about a number of different strategies that you've done in a fairly short period of time. So what was your first step beyond that summit?
So once I did that, and I got into the group, I got coaching, because I knew I couldn't do it before alone, because I did take some training in 2016, but didn't go all in and thought I could do it on my own. And I never did. I never got started. So I needed help. I needed a community behind me. I needed coaching. I needed needed people to work with. So that's definitely the first step, is getting not just the education, because knowledge is nothing without how to actually implement it. And that's the big part. And then the next one was, I was like, I needed to get started like today, because I just invested a lot of money in coaching, but also I had like a short runway left in my life. And it was like, I had all this time to make up for. So I was like, I'm going to get going. So I started out by doing a financial joint venture partnership. That was my first thing, because I wanted to get in the game. So I took some of my money that I had and did that while I was investing, and while I was learning and looking for other opportunities as an active investor. So that was my first. And the second was private lending. What I did was, the money, because I was using my HELOC, what I did was invest in private lending. The amount that would pay back for the private lending money that I was borrowing from the HELOC and for the money I had used for the down payment for the financial partner
Yeah.
JV. So that the actual what I did for private lending, the money I was making on that
Yeah.
paid the interest on my HELOC.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
No, I
constantly
understand
covered.
completely.
Yeah.
Now, when you look back at some of the different things that you've done in the last 4 to 5 years, what would you say you're most proud of or you look at as your biggest success?
Um, I think it's just all the knowledge that I gained through practical steps that I didn't hesitate. And, sometimes I think maybe I should have stepped back a bit and not gone.
Yeah.
So, it takes some time to, so there are some lessons learned there, but the fact that I took action
Yeah.
and, and although, and they were all, so far, I haven't lost any money on any of the actions that I took.
Yeah.
And then each of those was, got me more learning, got me more what not to do, what I should do. And
Yeah.
also I learned from that what I like and what I didn't like.
Yeah. So when you do talk about things that you like or don't like, can you talk about what those would be and why?
So, I was going against my why for so I did BRRS as while I was working.
Yeah.
So I'm no longer working now, as in I'm not no longer working for a corporation, working for myself. But at the time I was working for a corporation and doing this on the side, and I did BRRS because I loved making something ugly into something beautiful.
Yeah.
And although I have zero interior design training, I fancy myself as a as a designer,
Yeah.
right? So I really like that. So I've actually renovated 5 properties.
Nice.
Mhm. That was fun, like seeing the end result, getting the lovely compliments from the tenants, from people or from guests when I was doing for short-term rentals.
Yeah.
However, I spent so much time doing that
Yeah.
on those renovations, doing things myself. There were some places I painted myself or that I was constantly there to keep an eye on things, which were some of it was like 3-4 hour drive from me.
Yeah.
So being there all the time and then doing stuff, it took me away from my why, and my why is the time spent with my loved ones. So
Mhm.
I didn't see my mom for like 3 months at one point. And she's part of my why to spend as much time with her as possible. Because I lost my dad, when he was like only 57. So
Mhm.
that's knowing that tomorrow isn't promised, is a big thing.
Yeah.
Same thing with my kids. I didn't have the weekends with the kids. I was I mean, like another thing on my vision board is to eat healthy and to cook and be able to cook healthy, but
Yeah.
we were eating out constantly all the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
yeah, so those
Yeah.
were like that's kind of a thing. So that's the thinking back, I should have maybe done something more passive,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Which would have alleviated that because I had enough money. The money that I spent on 5 properties,
Yeah.
right, as down payments was enough to do a really good passive investing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand that. And there's pros and cons to everything, right? So you live and you learn. At least now you know going forward what you kind of want to stick to. Now, in terms of things like challenges, what would you say is one of the biggest obstacles that you've faced and how, you've worked on overcoming it?
So, one is regulations, especially recently. So, we know that government have been putting in a lot of regulations. So I mean, we have all suffering from the interest rates ones, but here in BC, I had my 4 of my properties were short-term rentals, right? I was saying three first because one was already a 30-day plus.
Hmm.
But BC has recently, in May of this year, now said that unless it's your principal residence, you can't do a short-term rental in it. And they've defined short-term rental as anything less than 90 days.
Oh, 90 days. Wow.
Yes, so even my 30-day plus ones don't qualify for that.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's challenging. That's been a challenge. Um, and I've done several different strategies on different properties to overcome that. One I sold, um, one closest to home I sold because that one was, the market is still very good for that. It's, it was a condo, so the condo market is still in high demand. There was low supply, high demand on the condos.
Yeah.
The market price was still high on that. So I decided to sell that one.
Yeah.
And then the other reason was I was highly leveraged. So I needed to bring down my HELOC a
Yeah.
bit there. And then the second strategy that I've done is the two of the properties, they're side by side, they're duplex, right? So front and back,
Yeah.
actually. And those ones I converted to co-living
Oh, okay.
because it wouldn't have couldn't sustain it as a long-term rental.
Yeah.
I tried selling, nobody was biting, and I couldn't, I'm not selling for a loss on it. So I did co-living. What I mean by co-living is like the student rental for that's not students. So
Yeah.
I do have some students in there. So my
Yeah.
place was Airbnbs. They were short-term rentals, so they were
Yeah.
beautifully furnished. They had everything in it. So I advertised it by room. Just bring your suitcase, everything provided in there.
Yeah.
And I've been able to get much higher rents by doing the room by room,
Yeah.
than I would by even renting it out as a long-term, furnished rental. I
Yeah.
tried that strategy too. I was doing like a few at a time to
Yeah.
see which one would go first. But as
Yeah.
soon as I advertised for the co-living, within minutes, I had 10 people
Wow. And how
inquiring.
are you finding the quality of those tenants?
They've been pretty good. So I've been very good at
Getting them?
screening. I
Yeah.
do have one, as I say that, that's, messy. And I went against my gut on that one too.
Hmm.
Right. And I was like, I should never go against my gut. But with her, I was like, kind of iffy on it.
Yeah.
And she is becoming a problem for me right now because she's messy. And not just like, like she's used to being living at home with her parents
Yeah.
and she's not cleaning up after herself. I've been sending group messages, just
Yeah.
not picking on anyone, but say, remember this, remember that.
Now, are there any rights that would be different because it's a co-living situation instead of the entire property as a landlord?
Yeah, well, slightly in that she's affecting other people in the home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she is renting her room, really, and not the entire home.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So I just actually got off the phone with a lawyer to say, how do I approach this?
Yeah.
Because I haven't spoken to her directly about this issue and only that I recently found out about some of the things that have been happening. And I'm
Hmm.
like, guys, you guys needed to bring this to
Yeah.
me so I could speak to her at the time. So
Yeah.
I have spoken to a lawyer. So, and she's given me pointers on sending an email, pointing out in my lease agreement where she's in violation of
Yeah.
that, saying that, giving her time to rectify. So then, then over the next month, we're going to see how things are. And that if this doesn't, if it's not rectified, then we will not then have to look at taking further action.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, understood. Okay.
yeah.
Well, on that note, we're just going to take a really brief break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Wealth Club, an exclusive community dedicated to elevating your journey towards financial freedom, well-being, and success. The journey to 1% starts here. Join like-minded leaders and commit to growth for the mind, body, bankroll, and soul. Learn all the proven techniques to change your life forever with direct access to a massive team of more than 10 tried and true experts. Moreover, members enjoy priority access to investment opportunities, job openings, and partnerships within the community. For just $1 a day, members gain entry to specialized forums covering a wide spectrum of fields, discover diverse income streams, new opportunities, collaborations, and employment. Partake in weekly Zoom calls with our team and join monthly live Q&A sessions. Compete and win cash prizes. Active members top the leaderboard for monthly rewards. Ready to get started? Join today to unlock your true potential. To sign up, go to school.com/the Wealth Club.
I value transparency, integrity, and trust.
If you choose to work with me, you can be assured that business will be conducted honestly and openly. Time is of the essence in this industry, so you can expect nothing short of quick, clear communication from me. I'll keep you informed every step of the way so you feel comfortable throughout this entire process. Our homes are where we eat, sleep, relax, and play. My clients' best interests are at the heart of everything I do. And with this said, my service to you doesn't end when the transaction does. As your realtor, I'll not only help you buy and sell your property, I'll also educate and support you along the way. I want to help you fulfill your goal of home ownership and become your trusted real estate resource for life. I can't wait to share my passion for real estate with you. More importantly, find you the perfect house to turn into your home. Looking to buy, sell, or invest in Durham Region or Toronto? Let's chat. Inspired to Invest is proud to support the Beyond Success program. In today's complex world, it's absolutely crucial for our youth to learn how to take charge of their financial future. We believe that every young person deserves access to accurate, practical financial information. Designed to bridge the gap, the Beyond Success program leverages a comprehensive educational bootcamp to equip young minds with essential financial literacy skills. At Beyond Success, it's not just about teaching financial literacy, it's also about fostering a foundation for a prosperous and empowered future. Join us. Together we can build a brighter financial future for the next generations. Join us. Together we can build a brighter financial future for the next generations. Hey everybody, welcome back to Inspired to Invest. I've got Debbie Balfour here with me today, and she's talking about some of her successes and challenges as a real estate investor, and also how she got started with investing a little bit later on in life. Now, one of the things that I always like to ask people is, what's one of the craziest things that they've ever experienced as a real estate investor?
Well, I don't know if it kind of impacts being a real estate investor, but last year I lost my entire home in a fire.
Yeah.
So I think that's the craziest thing that's ever happened. When you look out your window and your neighbor's hot tub is burning down your house, the whole backyard was on fire. I had like 2 minutes to get out, for me and my sons to get out. I think that's probably one of the craziest things that's happened. And it has impact. It's helped with the philosophy though around real estate investing. So, I lost my home and everything, like all my belongings, everything. I lost it all. And so I could have been in a really bad situation with that, where, I was already, mentally in a bad situation there.
Yeah.
Then 2 months later, I lost my job. So, I could have said, look, I lost everything and gone downhill. But because I had my home leveraged on other properties, so my 5 other properties that I spoke about, I also had, as a managing partner, another property that I own too. So that would be 6 properties that I have at the time of the fire. Is that I had to think back when I was saying things like I've lost it all, that I haven't lost it all. I actually have 6 properties.
Yeah.
Right. But if I didn't do that, I would have lost it all, because now, if I didn't have a HELOC on my home, my house would have been worth 0. Like I was assessed at 200,000.
Yeah.
Right. Last, for this year's assessment. So imagine trying now to get a HELOC.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Now, I know that we had a discussion a little while back about some of the lessons that came about from your house burning down, and one of them was around insurance. So I thought that there's some really valuable lessons that came out of that I thought you might want to share.
Oh, definitely. I'm crusading on this now because it's really important as a home, like even for for me, this is my principal residence, but also for others, it's the same thing applies for their rentals. It's really important that calculation that they're doing on your home, where you're paying your premium on it, that is correct for rebuild.
Yeah.
So there are 2 types on principal residence. There are 2 types of insurance that you can get. There's single allowance, where it's replacement cost, and there's guaranteed replacement cost, which is whatever it costs to rebuild that home, the insurance company has to pay. But that is only relevant to principal residence.
Yeah.
Okay.
not to rental. So all of our rental properties are on replacement. So
Okay.
we all want to pay less money, right? We all want to pay less money. So we're always looking for the best deal when it comes to premiums. So we'll go with insurance companies that say, oh, here's your, this premium is low. But when you're looking at those premiums, I really want everybody to look at the actual allowances for each area,
Yeah.
because that is critical.
Yeah.
I am actually underinsured because I trusted my insurance broker to do the right calculations. I'm
Yeah.
300,000 in shortfall
Yeah.
to rebuild my home.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah. And I
is,
know you also talked about just, where that's also left you in terms of getting back into your home compared to your neighbor. Like, I think you said that they're already like back in and you're still.
yeah, so that's also the thing. Really speak to people, try to get references, speak to people. We've got a huge community here as real estate investors. So go out there and ask people who have had floods, who have had
Yeah.
things, right? What was their experience with their insurance company and what insurance company it was.
Yeah.
Because we can all say, I love my insurance company when we haven't actually put through a claim.
Yeah.
But for me, the insurance company I have, as soon as I can get out and I wrap up this claim and I can get out, I'm out,
Yeah.
because they have done everything possible to delay. There's nothing inspiring them to pay you out, because the longer they have the money in their bank accounts that's invested in private equities, right? In the private market,
Yeah.
the more money they're making, so the longer they will take to pay you out, and the more excuses and the more they were going to try to say that's not valid, this is not valid. So,
Yeah.
well, like my neighbor has been in their house since July, the beginning of July, right? And our homes burned down together, and
Yeah.
they're the reason why my home burned down. This was
Yeah.
not my fault. So a lot of us think this will never happen to me. Right. So I'm not going to put much, I'm going
Well,
to
you never
save
know. I mean,
money.
I think you're probably the fourth or fifth person I know whose house is burned down. So I think it's far more common than people seem to think, right?
Yeah. And if you're in the Okanagan too, forest fires are the big thing, but this
Yeah.
was not a forest fire. This was a hot tub fire.
Yeah.
So, so it's,
Great.
it can happen to you. So, pay
Yeah.
the extra money, make sure, read the details of
Yeah.
your policy. Do you know that there are actually lawyers that you can send your policy to?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the average
Mhm.
person definitely does not do that. So,
Yes.
yeah, I think that's definitely really important when it comes to advice. And that kind of leads in perfectly to my next question is obviously you have been part of these different real estate investing communities as both a student and now as a coach. So what would you say is some of the best advice that you've come across in the last 4 to 5 years?
Um, I think that for people who are the best advice for people that I hear and is constantly there, but it's just kind of becoming very gimmicky, is how important the right team is. And the right team is not easy to find. It will take you it took me 3 tries at an accountant before I found one that I like.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
will go through.
I'm laughing because I had my own business, so I understand completely when it comes both to like lawyers, accountants,
Yeah,
employee.
contractors, all of these things,
Uh,
you will go through quite a few, and fail fast. When it doesn't work for you, get out,
yeah.
right? Find a thing.
Yeah.
But the right team is really, really important.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
yeah. So I think that's the biggest advice I would say. Yeah.
Now, in terms of where you're at, I know you talked about some of the things that you didn't like and then also the things that you do like. Now that you kind of have a better idea of where to drill down on, what would you say is next for you in terms of what do you think your next 5 years would look like, or what do you want
Funny,
it to look like?
funny thing is that I said that about the passive investing and things like that, and I actually want to go active now. But the reason for this is now I'm now a professional real estate investor and a coach. So I don't have that. I'm not trying to fit in real estate investing while I'm working. That
Yeah.
created all that stress.
Yeah.
So I am looking at active investing in the sense of I'm going to stay away though from being a landlord because of all these regulations.
Yeah.
And I want to be more in the area of, infills, land development, maybe even flips, right?
Yeah.
Once I can feel that the market, the demand is there, that I'm not going to hold a home too long on there.
Yeah.
But going into that active side of things is definitely the way I want to go, providing beautiful homes, like I said, making something ugly into, something beautiful, or something that isn't there,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I'm rebuilding my home right now, which has been really fun, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, unexpected, and I'm sure not how you wanted to like remodel the property, but
No, it went right back to
silver
studs.
lining.
So I could I've been able to totally transform most of it. I've had to keep, the architecture on the outside the same.
Mhm.
But the inside I've done lots of changes to
Yeah.
make it more what I would have always wanted,
Yeah.
right? We were putting in things that we've always wanted, but also thinking about resale too.
Yeah, smart. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing. I think a lot of homeowners sometimes do things that maybe they like, but they're not thinking of the time that comes when they're looking at potential buyers. Now, obviously, the name of this podcast is Inspired to Invest. So I always like to ask people, what's a particular quote that motivates or inspires them?
So actually, there's a whole bunch of different quotes that I've liked, but something just in the last, like this weekend, a quote I heard, and it really resonates. And I would like for everybody to think about this. You can make lots of money, or you can make lots of excuses, but you can't do both. So stop making the excuses, start taking action, and then even like small things at a time. Even if you're scared, like do small steps, and that smaller step leads to another step, leads to another step. So take action, and you will make money, but stop the excuses.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's great. Now, in terms of anyone that wants to get in touch with you, what's the best and easiest way for them to get in contact?
So I've made my email address and my website really easy to remember. So it's debbie@debbiebalfour.com is my email address. And my website is in www.debbiebalfour.com. So,
Okay.
you can email me. I'm also on, Facebook, Instagram, and I'll share all those handles with you.
Okay.
But those are the quickest and easiest and easy to remember.
Great. So we'll include all that in the show notes for below. And of course, for your time, thank you for being with us today. For anyone who has been watching or listening, we appreciate your time as well. If you have enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, or leave a review. You can also follow along with us on social at Inspired to Invest Podcast. And of course, remember, when you invest in yourself, the sky's the limit. Thanks again.
Thank you to the Wealth Club for bringing you this episode of Inspired to Invest. The views represented on this podcast are for general information only and does not constitute investment or other professional advice or an offering of securities. The host and guests featured on Inspired to Invest make no representations as to the performance of any particular investment. Should you decide to make an investment, you are responsible for conducting your own review and analysis. It is recommended that you obtain independent legal, accounting, and tax advice from licensed professionals.